What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Cinema Wave podcast here at the Culture Wave Media Network, and we are back to discuss a show that we covered for season 1. So happy for it to be back. It is Daredevil Born Again season 2. We actually missed out on the premiere episode, and then Disney Plus decided to drop 2 more episodes. This is going to be a jam-packed recap, reaction, discussion, review of episodes 1 through 3 of season 2 of Daredevil Born Again. So happy to be back talking about this with you guys. My name is Darian Scalamoni. I am joined, as always, when we cover Daredevil, with Vinny Albano.
Hello.
Dude, so
yes,
we were excited for last season. I feel like our expectations were middling. I think that there were some episodes that like really hooked us, and we were like, are they back? Like, do they really have us?
Yeah.
Remember when we brought John Stillwagon on for one of the episodes? I think that was one of the episodes we really kind of felt good about. Then there's some other episodes in the way that like Muse was handled towards the end of the season that we weren't as crazy about. But we talked about it basically week to week that first season was reworked in the middle of it, before it started shooting, in the middle of shooting, after shooting, for a lot of different reasons. This has the same creative team in place throughout. There's no rewrites. There was no massive reshoots. There wasn't like a complete different sense of direction that Marvel decided to take with it. So it feels a bit more streamlined. And that's kind of where I want to start with you before we go kind of episode by episode. Broad thoughts on these 3 episodes in particular. Do you feel a better sense of balance in the way that kind of the direction and the show running is being handled in the first 3 episodes?
Yeah, I 100%. Like you said, season 1 really felt like the last 2 episodes were completely different, as if they were done by a completely different creative team than the rest of the season. And the rest of the season was like all over the place. This is consistent. This is very consistent, these 3 episodes so far. It's not falling into the same flaws, for the most part, that I had with season 1. And I'm really enjoying it. I mean, whenever there's an action scene, the choreography is incredible. And they really have a style with this show that they established in season 1. But now it feels a lot more refined, visually, directorially, and within the edit. This style that they have with Born Again feels so much more refined, and it feels focused, right? We are focused on the Fisk drama and the conflict from that and what's going on with the city. And I like that. It's not trying to balance 1,000,001 subplots at once.
Yeah, I think that one of the biggest credits to this team, in comparison to maybe the original Daredevil series, which I think and I hope that after this episode we can kind of, for better or for worse, we can kind of now start to move beyond that, because it's like it is different. Like, we have moved on now from what that original Netflix series was.
Yeah,
they made directorial decisions and obvious things within the visuals of the series, within the writing of the series. I think what Born Again has done well in this iteration so far of season 2 is that all the supporting players are getting their due. Because obviously the show at the center of it is the politics of Wilson Fisk, Kingpin becoming the mayor of New York and what he deals with within that. But then there's also all the stuff with Matt Murdock and Daredevil. There's the 2 sides of it, which Kingpin clearly tries to escalate in his own way by kind of hunting for both sides of Daredevil, by going after the hero version, as well as Matt Murdock, the lawyer, who's basically gone missing ever since he took a bullet, literally, in the finale from Bullseye from him.
Yeah.
But within these first 3 episodes, we're also diving into more things with BB and Daniel. We're diving into, obviously, the relationship now that, like, we finally have one relationship for Matt. Like, he is a playboy. We know this. Like, all the girls want to sleep with Daredevil, and rightfully so. I mean, look at his chiseled physique. I get it. But it's Karen and Matt now. And we're kind of going on that road. And even the way that, the woman he was with, the psychiatrist, I'm forgetting her, Dr. Glenn, Margarita Levieva's character, I even liked that I like the direction they're going with her character, with like kind of becoming schizophrenic a little bit because of what she dealt with Muse in the end, regardless of how they handled that character in general. I mean, the way that the relationship with Cherry is, and now Kirsten, they're starting to get interesting, and Angel, I think her name's Angel or Angela, by the back end of these episodes, like, you're really starting to dive into, again, the Daredevil world and the Daredevil universe and building that out again in a really great way, to which I felt like season 1, I felt like one of our gripes, we were always like, we want more from these characters. Like, they felt very like one note, like they weren't being written with like their own intentions in mind and their own decision making, you know? But across these 3 episodes, I feel like we're building out that world of Hell's Kitchen again and really kind of making sure that everybody is getting their time on screen that is a part of the larger story, but is also feeding their characters. You know what I mean? Do you feel that way?
Yeah, I do feel that way. I think that ultimately something I'm just going to say this now to preface this and all the episodes that we will have in the future coming when covering this week by week. When we talk about this and when we talk about really anything, I will say one thing is I don't think, as much as I am liking this season so far, I don't think Born Again will ever come to the same level of enjoyment and overall positivity that I have towards the Netflix Daredevil, the OG series, because I do appreciate a lot of what they're doing, but the style of the original is a lot more my flow, a lot more my style. Then again, going back to your question, I do think that it is going well. But from why I said that is this show seems to have a very like fast-paced, almost cut together like a spy thriller. And that is one gripe I have with it, is that I do think that everyone is getting a good amount of time and development so far, but we're going at like this very snappy spy thriller pace that I wish we would almost have those quiet moments that we had back in the Netflix series.
Yeah.
Then again, the Netflix series is a different series.
Yeah.
It's a different series. So I do have to separate that in my brain. But I do wish for a little bit more quieter moments with the characters. That is something I am hoping for in the next few episodes.
Yeah, well, I was actually going to say, I feel like, and this could be, I don't know if I'm completely picking, like, I hear what you're saying, but I don't know if this is kind of going in a different direction. I feel like Born Again is more comic booky than what the Netflix show did. Like, I think the Netflix show felt similar to me in, like, I'm not comparing it completely, but like what Nolan tried to do with Batman. It's very grounded in reality. And this, there is more heightened elements to it, and it is espionage, like you talked about. Like, it's also a different comic storyline than they've done before. I think they're adapting Devil's Reign for this, where they're, again, like, there's prison escapes, there's psychotic murderers, they're also modernizing it to match up with what we're dealing with in current politics. I mean, ASVT, I believe that's the name of the task force that Fisk has brought in. I mean, they're basically like ICE. Like, they're equating it to ICE in the way they're treating people and the way that it's being reported and the way that they do the BB report. So I can understand where you're coming from. I do feel similarly that, like, again, that Netflix show and those first couple seasons for me, I mean, even season 3 with all the stuff with Dex and Matt and Wilson, like, it has a different pace to it and it has a different vibe. But I do feel like this is the best version of this show that we've gotten so far, which does give me confidence, because I'm like, okay, I feel like the creators can land the plane. Unlike last season, where we were like, where are we going? Like, what kind of story are they trying to tell? I don't understand what they're doing. And by the end of it, I think I still gave it a positive score. I don't remember where I ended up. I think I was at like a 7 or 7.5. But I like these 3 episodes as an overall story arc more than I liked last season. I felt like last season was a lot of like kind of up and down and riding this roller coaster. And the first episode, the premiere, it sets us back it's already jarring because the way that we end last season, there's such a chaos in the city and the way that things are being handled. And it ends obviously again with like Matt being shot, trying to protect Wilson. The first thing we see in this season 2 is that BB report where the city feels jolly. You know, like they're like Wilson's doing Mayor Fisk is doing a great job. The city is booming. Everything is great. And it's almost like you're in this, as a viewer, you're in this like neuroses, like you're in this mindset of like, are they losing their minds? Because again, we as audience members realize who Wilson is as a character through 5 seasons of TV now. Yeah. You know? And so we go from that to getting, and that's even snappy because we go from that to immediately seeing Matt in the new costume, right? We see him in comic accurate Daredevil costume for the first time ever. And we jump right into a big action choreography scene on the cargo ship. So how did you feel when you did finally jump back in? Was it something where you were like, all right, like I'm starting to get on board again? Or were you like, all right, like they have my attention a little bit, but you got to prove some more things to me? And then if that was the case, what was the first point within these first 3 episodes that got you like, all right, I'm here for this now. Like I'm willing to kind of forget about what they did in season 1. This feels more aligned. And this is where I feel like I can as a viewer jump back in and be like, all right, now I'm here for the ride. I'm here for the story.
Yeah, honestly, I was on board with it with the opening scene because very specific reason why. I remember season 1 opening with the Foggy Nelson death, and that's a big, massive scene. However, I did have my huge gripes with that scene because it was edited very weird, and there was a lot of weird digital compositing. And then I saw this scene, and this has improved choreography, improved digital effects, to the point where it's not even noticeable, you know, and that made me go, okay, this is refined. And then also, like you said, the suit looks beautiful.
We talked about it before we started recording, and I was like marking out about it. I was like, Vinny, you got to see the suit, dude.
Oh, yeah. And we finally get the double D on the chest, which is great. I am on board, I will say, despite, you know, the little gripe I had. Like I said, I just personally don't think it will ever reach the high, but I'm not saying that as a bad thing. This is still really great, these 3 episodes. And I am on board ever since that first scene.
So from that point forward, we have the ship that sinks. We find out that the ship had tons of weapons that were headed to the port, which is a big focus on, and it's kind of obvious. You can see the shift in that season 1 where it's like, this is the real story now. Like I think we go like 4 or 5 episodes in the first season where they don't talk about the port at all. And then it's like, there's so much added dialogue in the last 3 episodes where they can't stop talking about how important this port is. And I had seen this in one of Screen Crush's videos. I don't know if I missed this in dialogue or if you picked up on this, but apparently Wilson is taking these weapons in for Valentina, the Allegra Fontaine. Did you know that?
No, I think I missed that.
I think I missed it too, or maybe it's an assumption by Screen Crush, but apparently she has something to do with it. She obviously owns Avengers Tower. We find that out in Thunderbolts. There's a couple of shots, very quick shots of that tower in some of the montages, which again, you might miss because it's so quick. Screen Crush does a good job of kind of breaking that down. But so we're starting to, again, maybe reintegrate Matt and the Daredevil world within the MCU. And this started with No Way Home when we get a quick scene of Matt Murdock with Spider-Man in that movie. Then we had the crossover in season 1, which again seemed like a reshoot where we have the one-off episode with Kamala Khan's father. We now have Punisher going to be in the next Spider-Man movie, and he's getting his own one-off. And even Tony Dalton's character, Jack Duquesne, is a way bigger presence in these first 3 episodes than he was in the first season of Born Again, kind of being the de facto first vigilante that this task force is going after and trying to jail. So with all that being said, I mean, again, we're kind of integrating them now into the larger MCU in some way, shape, or form. And from that point, then we jump right back into the politics with Wilson, which I think we both were big fans of last season, and they kind of amp it up even more in these first 3 episodes. How do you feel about the way they're handling him as a politician and doing that balancing act of still having these ambitions to be a power player, but then the new introduction as well of like Matthew Lillard's character? We've only seen him once so far. So I'm curious your thoughts on where you're at with Wilson through these first 3 episodes, and especially the premiere, and what that dynamic with Mr. Charles is, because he clearly has a lot of power. Mr. Charles, he's the only one that can kind of get Wilson to kind of be a little imbalanced and be like, I think you need to be like thinking about what you're doing. Like, there's a scene in the first episode, which again, if you're watching this, you already know this, but there's the scene at the table where he's kind of like, all right, and then we'll just take out all your men. And Wilson's not cool with that. Like, he's not at that level to where Mr. Charles kind of works for this government agency. He calls it Langley, which I believe might be like a similar to a CIA in the MCU. So what are your thoughts in this premiere episode of the way that the politicking is starting to kind of come around in the larger overall story of Daredevil?
Yeah, I enjoyed it in the first season. This feels a lot more refined with Mr. Charles' character. I want to know more of like what's his deal. Because I love Matthew Lillard, and what's his deal? Like, what's going on? Because we don't get much from him. Like, we're perceived of his power, like you said, but I want to see it at play,
Yeah.
With the rest of the politics, something I enjoyed about season 1 and what you mentioned briefly with the anti-vigilante task force being parallels to ICE, as well as the BB report at the opening of episode 1. I love that because it shows a parallel with the real world of how a lot of people they are happy and enjoy when they see crime go down and they say, oh, it's solved now. But in reality, over-policing does not eliminate crime because the root causes of that crime still belong there.
Yeah.
The machine is still going to pump out the same amount of criminals and the same amount of crime. It's just now that we're over-policed. So I think I do like that a lot. I do appreciate that a lot because it shows you that the Wilson Fisk and people like him in real life are not trying to combat the social issues or what's causing this crime. They're just trying to over police the city into a state of a complete surveillance state, where you can't even do anything, and people who are not criminals are getting affected by this too, and they're just being forgotten about. So I really appreciate that, and I really appreciate however, I do think the commentary does get a little muddy sometimes, which is another big flaw with the political commentary, because Daredevil seems to be very trustworthy of the system now, which is weird because Daredevil is a result of seeing the system fail. As a lawyer, seeing the system fail these people. And now a lot of the crutches of savior is put onto his lawyer friends or his cop friends, because now there's a privatized police within the anti-vigilante task force. And that alone it kind of muddies the message.
Are you talking about specifically the anti-vigilante task force member that they wind up kidnapping?
I just mean in general, that, but more or less of saying, like, Matt now has a trust with that if we pin the issues on, if we are able to find legally these corruption, that his lawyer friend, I forget her name,
Kirsten.
Thank you. She can take him down. His cop friends, if they stand together, they could take him down, which is a little contradictory to why Daredevil exist in the first place, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like the way I see this world is that the Anti-Vigilante Task Force and Fisk is only an extension of an already corrupt system.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Daredevil was born. So why, you know what I mean? You're still believing in the corrupt system. It's like, oh, but we shouldn't go that corrupt. But I like these guys though. You know what I mean? So it's like that's the big flaw I have.
I think they do play around a little bit with that though in this, where and again, you can that's a directorial, I guess, and writing choice with Matt in general, where there's like a naivete to Daredevil in general, like, or I guess Matt in general as a character this season. You see it more in the third episode when he's like basically trying to convince somebody like Karen, or I guess reconvince. He's like, murder isn't the answer, and Karen can't really 100% agree with that.
Yeah,
like she's stuck in the moral code in the middle, and I'm kind of happy that they decided to do this, where she's kind of like, Frank's sufficient, being like, like Frank has his way of doing things, and we see that banter, which again is missing in these first 3 episodes. Like that, I personally, like, maybe you would echo the same sentiment. I think the best part of season 1 of Born Again is Frank and Matt.
Yeah,
like 100%. Their dynamic together is what makes the world turn, essentially, basically.
Yeah.
And that is missing from this. So I wonder if that's where kind of that is getting missed in this season, because that core of like having the juxtaposition of like, no, Red, the way you're doing things hasn't worked out, has it? It's not working out well for you, is it? People are still fucking dying.
Yeah.
Things are still not going well. And Karen obviously has a much different approach than Frank does. She's not as verbatim. She's not as direct as he is. She's not like a symbol of justice in her own way. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that's kind of where it is, because I do agree that there's a bit of convenience when it comes to certain things in this season. That's what I've noticed, where I'm like, all right, like, I love Cherry, but Cherry probably should have died.
Yeah.
Like, Cherry probably should have died. And I do think he probably still will die at some point this season, because I can't see, like, we talked about this, I think, last season, but like in every season of Daredevil, someone has to die. Somebody big in Matt's life has to go. And now he's making these new connections, like Angela or like Kirsten, but it's like Cherry's one of the OGs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like he's going to have to go at some point, and he trusts him, and now he's kind of putting his trust in Kirsten. So I don't know how that's going to go. I think that the lawyer aspects of this series aren't as strong as how we had in the Netflix series.
Yeah.
Because Matt's not at the forefront of it, and Charlie Cox is honestly, like, obviously he's good at the action, and he's great in the cowl, and he's great as kind of as the character, obviously, but there's that other side of it where it's like how certain people can do Bruce Wayne really well. You know what I mean? If you can do Bruce Wayne and Batman really well, you're doing the character justice.
Yeah.
Charlie's obviously very good at doing that, and we're missing that in this season so far.
Yeah. To add to that too, do you, again, this is a different series, so I'm trying in my head to separate.
Yeah, we have to, like, I said, at some point we're gonna have to learn to separate, because now it's like they're trying to reintegrate it into the larger Marvel universe, and when it was in Netflix, it was meant to be something entirely separate.
Yeah.
At first, yeah.
Yeah. Now, to add to that, I posed a question for you. A big part of Matt's character and a big part of the Netflix series was his inner fight with Catholicism and his belief in Catholicism. That's absent from this series.
Yeah.
Do you think they should bring back that fight with faith?
I think it enriches the character. I do think that, again, it's like almost, I don't know the Devil's Reign comic arc. I wonder, again, it's kind of something that's crucial to him as a character based on just my understanding. I haven't read any Daredevil comics, so I'm only going based on what I've seen in like media, like in entertainment, like television and films. I think they might be alluding to it with Poindexter, because we see him in a chapel. But then again, I don't know if they're going to go in that direction. I think that right now Matt is very blinded by trying to, but the thing that he's always blinded by, he's just trying to protect everybody.
Yeah.
Like he's at this point where, I mean, there's a subtle thing in the third episode, but it's like the whole thing where, when they're breaking everybody out of the cages and, they do this cut where they're slowing everything down as they do in the show, and it's him looking at Karen shooting the gun, and I'm like, all right, so he's still trying to protect. He's still not even in trustworthy with all the things that Karen is doing, that Karen can basically defend herself. That's how I took that. Maybe I misinterpreted it, but you see it in the scene with Cherry. You saw it a lot last season with in the scene where he's taking out Muse with Dr. Glenn. Like, there's a lot of, again, that protective nature of what Matt is. And it's hard, man. Like, that's the other thing that's like Daredevil. I'm excited he's back because I think the character is the most rich. Like, when you look at the MCU in general, especially over the last few years post Endgame, we don't get characters like this in Marvel. Like, who have we seen since the OG Avengers where we feel something that is beyond just like, oh, that was cool what Falcon just did? You know what I mean? Yeah. Which is, that's more of an indictment on the entire MCU. But with Matt, there's so many things to balance in this world that it's like, I guess I don't feel the absence as much because I'm still enjoying the story they're trying to tell, because there's already a lot happening. You know what I mean? Like, we've barely seen Benjamin, like, in this season. And he was the main crux of the end of season 1, being the one that shot Matt, obviously trying to take out Kingpin. Yeah. And even the whole subplot with Vanessa hiring him is now kind of off to the side. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because they're trying to tell this whole different story now. And I think this has become more about, like, the Safer Streets Act in general and what that means. And now we're going in a different direction with Angela. So it's not to discredit overall what they've done with the direction of the show in season 2. And I understand your question because it was such an important part of that first series. I just think it's hard to tell so much story in 40-minute chunks sometimes. You know what I mean? And that it is a lot of time still. Like, I think the runs, and just checking really quick, first episode is, actually, I don't know if we have the run times. Yeah, we do. 51 minutes for the first episode, 46 for the second, and the third is 47. So we're telling these stories in good chunks. Maybe we'll get some more of that before the end of the season. But then, like, we also, like, Jessica, I mean, I hope this isn't a spoiler for people, but Jessica Jones is coming back. Like, we know that, kind of. So, like, there's more characters even to come still, you know? Yeah. You feel strongly about the Catholicism, though, because that was something you felt near and dear to with the character. Correct?
100%. Yeah. That was, like, probably my favorite part of the original Daredevil. And it's such a prominent thing with Matt's character throughout all the pieces of media that he's involved in. You know, the comic books, the shows, the animated media that he's prevalent in. He is like that's like the foundation. Yeah. You know, he's the devil of Hell's Kitchen, and yet he's a raised Catholic boy, you know? So it is something I feel strongly about, but then again, there's like this whole, I keep saying this, we both keep saying this, it's a different show. But I do want to see them. I don't know how long the show's going to go on for. I would like to see them revisit that in some sort of way, because he's going to always need some sort of guidance. Yeah. You know, he's not a perfect character, and if we start acting like he's a perfect character, then he loses interest as a character.
He loses the luster of what really actually makes Daredevil his own individualized character, because he is he's different. Daredevil is different than any other MCU hero we've seen. For a number of reasons. And I do agree that I think that's a big part of it. I mean, his origin is important to the constant telling or retelling and rebirth of who the character is. So I do agree with you. I hope we see it more. I'd like to see him again go into the confession booth and find his way again.
Yeah.
We don't have a pastor like in character for this show yet. So I wonder if that's something where maybe they're holding out and that's a direction they're going to go in by the end of the season, maybe.
Yeah, there's his mom, who's the nun. She's still around.
The one from the original series?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did we see her in this show?
No, we don't.
haven't seen
but
her.
But if we were to revisit that, I think she would be the player.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that could make sense. I could see that.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else from the premiere episode. Oh, well, we didn't talk much about this yet. The propaganda anonymous videos, basically. So when I first saw it, I thought that it could have been Daniel behind the mask. I thought it could have been like, okay, like maybe he's doing this to try to make a play. But then we obviously find out either by the end of, I think we find out in the second episode that BB is the one who's doing it. She's working with Karen, which is like Ben Ulrich did the same thing in the original Daredevil, which is a nice nod. And I like the girl who plays BB. I forget who. I want to get her name right because I think she's really good in the show. But basically, again, she's making these videos. Genneya Walton is her name. She's making these videos dressing up in full Kingpin garb, kind of letting the world know, like kind of, again, playing parody to what his mayoral stances are and his opinions on vigilantism and in making Hell's Kitchen a better place. So how do you feel about the way that they're kind of using news media in this show as a commentary on just kind of maybe the world in general, but also this world that they've built in Born Again with Wilson?
Yeah, I feel it's a nice element. I'm very curious where it's going to go, though, because I am really enjoying it. I honestly don't have much else to say, like, in an in-depth manner, in an analytical manner about this element of the show. I think it always adds some cool tension. I'm really, really enjoying BB and Daniel's relationship and how he clearly knows, but that's also like a good friend of his, and the dynamic there, trying to keep it quiet, but also like trying to be the deputy mayor to Wilson Fisk of all people.
Yeah.
I'm just very curious where it goes because BB is going to get in a lot of trouble. Her life is going to be at risk, and same with Daniel.
Yeah.
So I'm so just curious on what situation we're gonna find ourselves in from this whole,
situation.
Yeah.
One of them has to die, right?
Yeah.
For sure. Because at that point, we're in such a situation where obviously, like, Wilson is ruthless. I mean, this Wilson that we know in Born Again literally smashed a man's head between his hands.
Yeah.
He took out his trainer in one of the, I think it was episode 2. I'm curious to see what this boxing match is all about. That's like the only thing that, like, I wouldn't even say it's like a negative, but I'm also like, what are we doing? Why is the mayor of New York having a celebrity boxing match, basically?
Yeah.
That's supposed to be next episode, so I hope we can just brush past it really quick and see what happens. I think, like, if they do something cool creatively with it, like there's like, I love, like, I don't know if you've ever seen this movie, but there's a film that Nicolas Cage is in. I think Brian De Palma directed it. Maybe it was Coppola. It was one of the two, called Snake Eyes. It actually takes place in Atlantic City in New Jersey, and it's like this big political assassination attempt at a boxing match. And I mean, again, Kingpin is the one in the ring, but I love, like, a boxing match just as, like, the setting of, like, shit's going down. You know what I mean? Like that espionage type of thing and back corners and how they handle that. So if they do like a full episode of that, I'll actually be really intrigued by that, similar to what they did in that bottle episode last season with Kamala Khan's father, where they're stuck in the bank.
Oh yeah,
That
I
would be
heard about
cool.
that.
If they could do something creatively with it, I'll be like, I'm all on board. Like, I don't care. Like, it's stupid to me, but like, if you could make something cool out of it, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do think that, and it's too early to predict. But I do think one of them is going to have to die because there has to be repercussions with how seriously Wilson is taking this. And we get that conversation with Wilson and Daniel where Daniel kind of pledges his full-fledged allegiance and protection for the only person that he's there to protect is Wilson.
Yeah.
And so I have a feeling, I don't know if you even want to make a comment on this yet, if you feel confident one way or another. I think by the end of this, we're gonna have Daniel like fully aligned to where like he's going to be essentially the heir. Like I think he's gonna kind of do full heel turn. And I think BB might bite it just like her dad did. But I don't know. That's kind of where I'm leaning. Not to be sexist, but they don't take out female characters like that a lot.
Yeah.
But it reminds me of something like Wilson just reminds me of Oz Cobb. Like he is Marvel's Oz Cobb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and not only just visually, but the way that this character is being written for this world, he's fucking ruthless, man. And he doesn't give a shit about anybody. Like he would take out Daniel, but I think that moment is a real moment where he kind of, in his own way, shows care for this kid. Cause I do like, it's similar to like how maybe Oz felt with Renzi Felice's character. I forget the character. Vincent. In the Penguin. So do you have a lean anyway yet? I mean, we're not even halfway through the season, but like, do you feel a certain way where you think like, all right, maybe Daniel's going to be the one that he winds up turning on, or do you think that maybe BB is the one who's going to get caught and it's going to be a problem for her?
I personally feel that Daniel rising to power would be more interesting to see, but I was actually on the other half, just because I don't know if Disney's gonna do it. You know,
they're taking more risks this season, though.
True.
A lot more F words.
Yeah.
A lot more violence. And the fact that we saw him kill the police commissioner the way he did. Yeah. That has me at least thinking, okay, they're willing to take a big risk.
True. I do think BB dying would be interesting. Then again, I do think that there's still more room for BB's character.
Yeah.
But with Daniel, you can only do so much with him, I think. So that's why
he's more expendable.
Yeah. My gut is telling me that Daniel's going to die. You know, I think if they do it right, it would be more interesting to see him live and rise
up the ranks. Yeah. Maybe supplant the other character, I forget his name, that he has that meeting with.
Oh yeah, the British one.
The British guy, which is a great scene. They do, I think we talked about this last season, or I definitely championed this last season. Any scene where they have two characters together in this show is maybe the best that Marvel's ever done.
Oh yeah.
When they have one-on-one interactions with each other, like characters, like whoever is writing these episodes, I'll credit you next week, I promise, because I'm not looking at it right now, but the dialogue scenes between two characters in this show is top for me in Marvel. Like every single scene where you're getting these characters, like, I mean, again, even the scene with Mr. Charles and Wilson in that first interaction, the dinner scene between Daniel and BB, Daniel and the British guy that works with Wilson, even the little moment with Wilson and the guy, I forget his name, who leads the AVT. Like when they're drinking in his room, like there's just something about the way that they're able to frame these scenes between these two characters where it always feels like it's actually moving the story forward and it doesn't feel like wasted time. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't feel like filler to me. I don't know if maybe I'm just like, maybe I'm hyping it up too much.
No, but I agree with you because that scene was I 100% agree with you. The scene with Daniel and I forget his name. You know, the British one.
The British guy. We'll get back to it next week.
Yeah, that was tense because Daniel is trying to keep it a secret that he probably knows it's BB, and that other guy's like he kind of knows. There's a moment which I think is a great acting moment with Michael Gandolfini, where he just slips. He's not that confident. He's like, yeah, I'll get to it. And I'm like, right there, that's all he gave the British guy all the information that he needed. Now he's like, oh, okay, you're not telling the truth 100% to me. And that was a great moment within the script and with what the actors did with it.
Yeah.
Because that one little slip up of like not being that confident with doing his job, of saying, oh, I'm getting to it. I'm trying to figure, like, that's boom.
He lets his guard down too quick. The character's name is Buck, by the way. I got it. It's Buck. And he says it so much in the show, Wilson. He's like, thank you, Buck. So it's like, we should remember that. But that moment where he gives Buck the hot dog, it's silly, but it's Daniel basically being like, yeah, this guy likes me. This guy's cool. He's down with it.
Yeah.
And that's enough, like you said, to leave that leeway of like, I don't know, Wilson.
Yeah.
This kid might not have your best interest at hand, even though he still really does. He's just kind of letting shit fly with BB because he obviously has feelings for her too. Last thing that I wanted to just bring up is we get this big jail breakout scene. Fucking awesome choreographed scene.
Yeah.
Our boy Tony Dalton's in that scene. Shout out Tony Dalton. He talked about it in my interview with him like months ago when I was interviewing him for a film called Trap House that he had done. And I asked him about this, and he's like, I filmed this whole one take thing, and it was so awesome, and it was so cool. I think this is what he's alluding to. Maybe there's another one that we're going to get later in the season.
Yeah.
But Swordsman does have a lot to do in this scene. Jack Duquesne, however they're referring to him now, in this great action set piece throughout this whole back half of this episode where Daredevil breaks everybody out of the cages, and then they get in this giant cargo truck, and they kind of escape. And then Wilson takes matters into his own hands by blowing up the cargo ship and doing what Mr. Charles kind of told him to do. So now that we conclude with that, one, your thoughts on that scene, and with the ending of episode 3, how are you feeling going into the episode 4, the mid-season of season 2?
Yeah, I mean, the fight sequence was incredible. Again, the choreography is brutal. It's awesome. It's really, really killer. Amazing camera work too. It's such a stylish looking show. I'll give it that. The one thing I actually do want a little bit of clarification of what was, and I apologize to our audience, but what was the reason for blowing up the ship again? Like, 'cause I feel like I lost something there.
So the initial thing, they want to pin it on, I believe, Daredevil in general, because again, the world doesn't like general society does not realize that Daredevil and Matt Murdock are the same person.
Yeah,
obviously Wilson knows this. He uses his wit, or I guess his intelligence, his political advantage and intelligence to make Karen Page and Matt Murdock. Well, Karen Page is wanted for a different reason, but Matt Murdock being missing now, different than Wanted, where Daredevil is wanted. He kind of has these two fronts now of the society going after both sides of Daredevil. So now he can't work undercover even as Matt in daylight. I believe that the plan is to pin the bombing of the cargo ship on Daredevil. I believe that is what it is. And that's why him and Karen at the end of the episode are like, what the fuck just happened? Because they just went through all that work of getting everybody out, and he's going to also be able to pin that escape on Daredevil plus the bombing of the cargo ship. Yeah. Because it's in the cargo yard where everybody's being stored.
Similar to what he did with Northern Star, and he blamed it as a Daredevil terrorist attack. Okay, cool. And that actually does make it a lot interesting, because it's like, oh, Daredevil's taking hostages. Yeah. Yeah, all right, cool.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see where they go. The 4th episode, they drop on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. The 4th episode is titled, I believe it's called Fight Night. I think it's called Gloves Off. That's what it's called. So we know we're getting the boxing match. There's even like a promo image of Kingpin swinging. So we're getting that for episode 4. Curious to see where they go with it. I'm a big fan of these first 3 episodes. Like I said, I think it's more of, like you said, that polished, fully formed version of what Daredevil Born Again is going to be moving forward. And I'm excited to see where they move forward. So you got anything left to talk about?
Not really. Me too. I'm very excited. We brought up before how the trailer showed Jessica Jones, who that's my girl. Like, that's my go. I love Jessica Jones. I really do. I mean, season 2 and the following seasons were not that great, but season 1 of Jessica Jones,
really good.
I love it. Honestly, it might be among my favorites. I think it beats Daredevil season 2 of the Netflix. I think. Anywho, I love Jessica Jones, so I'm very excited for her to return. And Kristen Ritter returning.
She's great.
As her.
Kristen Ritter's great as the character. So we'll see if we get. We might not get Punisher this season. He's getting his special, his Disney Plus special that's dropping, I believe, the week after this season wraps. So we'll be in this world for a little bit longer, or adjacently anyway. But there's rumors of Luke Cage too. So we'll see.
That'd be cool.
We'll see if Mike Coulter's back. We'll see what happens with that. But excited to cover this week to week.
Where's Iron Fist?
We'll see what happens with Danny Rand. They might have to redo that whole character.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen. But Vinny and I will be here week to week covering this show with you guys. We're hopefully not going to miss any more. So we're going to be covering episodes 4 through 8, 1 episode a week with you guys. So we're not cramming too much in. And Mikey might join us. I know he's trying to binge season 1 of Born Again. So maybe he'll be able to get on for one of the later episodes. But hopefully he'll be on with us as well. But if you guys like this video and you like our stuff on Daredevil and other stuff on the channel, please give this video a like. Subscribe to us. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers. Please subscribe. You'll help us get to that point of monetization, and we can do even more stuff for you guys. So we'd really appreciate that. Comment your thoughts on the first 3 episodes of Daredevil Born Again Season 2. And also follow us on social media if you don't already. All that stuff is below me in the video. It's also in our YouTube description. So just signing off, I'm Darian Scalamoni.
And I've been Vinny Albano.
And we'll see you guys next time.
This is The Culture.